In 1988, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 8-year-old April Tinsley was abducted while walking to school. Her body was discovered 2 days later. The case remained unsolved for more than 30 years, until advances in forensic science finally identified the person responsible. April Tinsley lived with her family on the southwest side of Fort Wayne. She was a third-grade student. She followed the same route to school each morning. It was a routine familiar to her family and to the neighbourhood. On the morning of April 1st, 1988, April left her home shortly after 8 a.m. She never arrived at school. When teachers realised she was missing, authorities were notified. The Fort Wayne Police Department initiated a coordinated response. Officers canvassed April's walking route, nearby residential streets, construction areas, open fields. That afternoon, a shoe consistent with what April had been wearing was discovered near a construction site less than a mile from her home. The discovery changed the tone of the search. It suggested the abduction had occurred quickly and close to where she was last seen. 2 days later, on April 3rd, April's body was located in a rural field several miles away. The distance indicated she had been transported after the abduction. Investigators secured the scene. A methodical evidence recovery followed. Biological material was collected, along with fibres and trace evidence. At the time, DNA testing existed, but its usefulness was limited. Samples could be compared only to specific suspects. There were no national databases, no rapid matching systems, no way to search broadly. From the beginning, the investigation faced structural challenges. There were no confirmed eyewitnesses, no reliable vehicle descriptions, and no suspect who could be directly linked to the abduction. Detectives interviewed neighbours, construction workers, anyone known to be in the area. Hundreds of tips were reviewed. None resulted in an arrest. Months later, the investigation took a disturbing turn. Anonymous letters began arriving at police departments and local media outlets. The letters referenced April Tinsley by name. They included details of the crime that had never been released publicly. Some letters contained threats. Others included drawings. Several used taunting language directed at investigators. The tone varied, but the knowledge did not. Investigators conducted handwriting analysis. Postal routes were examined. Linguistic patterns were reviewed. The conclusion remained consistent. The letters were likely written by the same person responsible for the crime. For investigators, the letters confirmed one thing. The offender was watching the case closely, but the letters did not provide actionable leads, and over time, they stopped arriving. As years passed, the case transitioned into cold case status. Evidence was preserved, records were archived. The investigation entered a holding pattern. By the 2000s, DNA testing had advanced. The preserved evidence was retested. Traditional database searches still produced no matches. Without a suspect, prosecutors could not proceed. The legal threshold for charges could not be met. The case remained unresolved. Years continued to pass. April's family continued to wait. Public attention faded, but the evidence remained. In the 2010s, a new investigative tool emerged: genetic genealogy. Instead of comparing DNA to criminal databases, investigators compared it to publicly available genealogy records. The objective was indirect identification, to locate relatives, not suspects. From those connections, extended family trees were constructed. Potential candidates were narrowed based on age, location, opportunity. Eventually, one individual met all criteria: John D. Miller. Miller had lived in Fort Wayne at the time of the crime. He had no prior conviction linking him to April Tinsley. Investigators conducted discreet surveillance. Discarded items were collected for comparison. DNA analysis confirmed a match to evidence preserved since 1988. In July 2018, John Miller was arrested. Prosecutors presented DNA evidence, timeline consistency, corroborating investigative records. Miller entered a guilty plea. The plea eliminated the need for a trial. It spared April's family from reliving the details in court. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. For April's family, answers arrived decades late. For investigators, the case became a reference point. The DNA had existed from the beginning. What was missing was the ability to interpret it. The letters, once perceived as taunts, were later understood as confirmation that the offender believed the case would never be solved. Some cases do not remain unresolved because the truth is hidden. They remain unresolved until the tools to uncover it exist. If you value real cases documented through verified records, you can subscribe to the channel. New videos examine cold cases, wrongful convictions, and investigations that took years to resolve. Thanks for listening.